This is Hemingway's Parlay, live from Jacksonville, Florida. And your host, John Hemingway.
Yes, it's me again, here on Hemingway's Parlay. And today, by popular demand, actually by Christopher Merchant's demand, I need to again answer all of his questions about the book which came before Murder on the Florida Straits. This one, however, is not a noir. I would call it, technically speaking, a love story with flashes of Spain. Yeah.
Pamplona.
And Ernest and Running with the Bulls and Corrida and Beber muchísimo vino, all that sort of stuff.
It's a tale of sex and violence.
So we're going to talk about all the great things, that are in this book. There it is. Holy S. Look at that. Okay. Again, this is another cover designed by my genius son, Michael Patrick Janney Hemingway. Okay, there we go.
Got to get the full name.
Yes.
Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because
I can hardly hear you, my dear.
I don't know why. Is that any better?
I'm thinking maybe you should turn it up a bit.
Difficulties. Please stand by.
Okay.
Cute little bar thing up there. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I can hear myself, but I may have my headset turned up. Okay, we'll crank the gain up a little bit. How's that?
There we go. Finally. Okay. We like that.
Okay.
Booming
go ahead and delete
voice.
This one and we'll start over, or do you want to just keep running from here? Because we can edit this out in post-production, in the words of Jeremy Clarkson.
It's okay. It's okay. I think people like to see these sort of problems and everything because, it reminds them
we're human.
Yeah, we're human. Nothing is perfect. You can always try it again. Wrong. Okay.
So many things in life we would be willing to go back.
There's only one take on it in life. That's it, and
exactly.
Then, they throw away the video, so to speak, God throws away your video.
Back when I did radio and TV full time, I was, they had me fill in for somebody on the air down in Tampa. It was brief. It was like a 45-second segment where they came to me and I froze for the first 4 or 5 seconds. That red light came on the camera, and I'm like, yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and just pick up and go. Yeah, it took a second for it to click as to what I was doing, and that was arguably one of the worst moments of my life when I was on camera or with an open mic, and that's what always comes to my mind at first. And I'm like, man, if I could do something just a little bit different. It was right there when I had 2 million people watching me.
Nope.
Can't do it again.
You had your one chance. That was it.
And that was it.
That was gone.
Bacchanalia. Speaking of one chance and things that start off with an idea and you make a decision and you move forward.
Yes.
How many times you've been there 10 times or 11 times?
This year will be my 11th.
Okay.
And it will also be, when we go there, Christina and I, it'll be our 10th meeting anniversary. Okay. Because we met actually in Pamplona at the Cafe Aruña on the 11th of July. And so a lot of the story of Bacchanalia comes from our meeting, And the book is dedicated to her too, because she is my muse. And when I gave her a first draft of it, she said, no. And then that was before we went to the fiesta itself. When I came back, I had a completely different idea of things. And so I just shifted everything more towards the Luciferian rather than, St. Paul or something like that,
Folks, if you have children, this is the time to send them to the other room.
Oh, yeah, lock them in that room there. Okay.
Give them the iPad, put them on whatever game it is that they like. We'll see you in 20 minutes. Yeah, like I said, it's Pamplona. during the Festival de San Fermin. It's a unique time in everyone's life every time they're there. I have not gone as of yet. I was not thinking this
You
year. I
haven't
was
been
thinking
there. Oh my God. Okay, well,
maybe
you've read the
next year.
book, so you know, in a sense, what to expect.
I've read a couple of books about it. One by some other
But
guy with your name.
yeah, okay, yeah,
But
he wrote about it. Then there were a few others who wrote about it too. Um, what was that one guy? He wrote Centennial or something like that. Michener, was that his name?
sounds right.
Yeah. Okay.
Me and my
He
job as
was
producer
popular
over
in the
here. Let me check.
1950s, I believe. At any rate.
Michener?
Yeah, you should really go and see this thing because it'll blow your mind. I mean, it's just the energy levels there are something to behold, especially when on the 6th of July
Mm-hmm.
you have everyone congregating as much as they can in front of the Ayuntamiento, which is the city hall,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just chaos there. My God, it's just the sound, everything you've got. Well, for instance, in the picture there of the book, okay, you see this girl. She's on the shoulders of some other guy. Well, many times, the people down there in the mosh pit, as I call it, okay, are trying to grab her tits or something like that. But sometimes she is just in the mood too, is already drunk, okay, takes off everything, is topless there. And then probably someone from the Sun, the British tabloid, is
Right.
already taking pictures.
And one thing leads to another.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of sort of energy, uh, sheer joy, testosterone to levels never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so, in fact, this book, while I call it a love story, I remember sending it to one agent, and she was quite quoted and had one of her writers. I cannot remember this guy's name. Okay, but apparently he had gone out of favor or something, or maybe he had killed himself or something like that. And I sent the first couple of pages to this agent, and the agent's aide was like, "So wow, just taken by this." She just said, "You have to see this to the agent, okay?" And the agent at first was like, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Hemingway. Thank you for seeing me. For remembering me. You know."
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing I know, they read on because they asked for like 50 pages or something of it or something like that, or
Right.
30 or whatever, and they found out that this wasn't just a sweet love story. this was this was absolutely toxic masculinity, and they were already talking about it back then in 2017. Or
Right.
was it 2017? No, it was 2019. Okay, and no, it couldn't have been that. It was 20. Yes, it was. It was 2019. Okay,
So it wasn't
and
2020.
yeah, at any rate, okay, they just like disappeared, and that was the way it was with just about every other agent I sent it to, except for one person who was working at Thomas Dunn,
Mm-hmm.
and that was an imprint of I'm not sure if it was Simon and Schuster, but at any rate, it was an old publishing house, I think from at least the 1960s. Well, on the day of the lockdown, you don't know, but I mean, I think it was March 20th or no 10th or something like that.
Somewhere in the vicinity, yeah.
They got rid of the entire publishing house. They fired everyone,
Wow.
including this young editor who was going to present it to Thomas Dunn himself. And he had told me, well, it's kind of sort of, full of a lot of sort of, male hormones and stuff like that, and there's bullfighting and everything. He says, well, I think we can do it. We just got to present it in the right way. He was really enthusiastic about this book,
Right.
and that was that. You know, that was the one chance I had to get into one of the big five, and that's the way it goes. What can I say?
If they were to come to you and say, hey, we want to go ahead and reprint this, and we want to do, the whole book tour, and I don't know
Oh,
about
I'd
making
do
a
it. Why not?
movie out of it eventually, but would you consider it?
Sure. I mean, if they want to give me an advance on that and everything and help promote it, but
Mm-hmm.
I think that publishing is so messed up right now that it's going to take many years before people come to their senses. But it'll also, what will also help them come to their senses is the fact that many of them are going to go under because people are coming to their senses and they want literature which is real, not some sort of Marxist, you know, uh, story time telling sort of thing like this for kids or something like that.
Right.
They want adult literature. I'm not talking about sex 24 hours, 24 hours,
Right. Adult
7 days a week.
situations, not X-rated adult situations.
Yeah, that's it. No, but I mean, this is
The stuff of
also
life.
how people react to certain things. Um, there's a lot of risk in, writing a book like this, but even more than
Mhm.
writing it, the Fiesta is one of the few places, I think, where there are no holds bar in terms of if you want to run with the bulls, the Spaniards give you absolute, liberty to do that. They will kick you out if you're drunk. Okay.
Yes.
They will kick you out if you're not wearing proper shoes, that sort of stuff. Um, but they don't make you sign any sort of, legal disclaimer or whatever else. Um, the city of Pamplona takes care of all of the medical expenses now. In the past, they used to charge people, but they found that it's just easier. Because I mean, if you get gored, it's going to cost something like 10,000 euros or something like that.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
I
So I
mean,
mean,
it's,
there is risk. There is
yeah.
risk,
Well,
but there
there's
is
risk in
also
everything, but
adventure, and there's also love. You can fall in love with someone. You see
you might
these
find a
young kids,
spouse
who
at
fall in
this
love with
point.
each other and they fall asleep in one of the gutters, on the side of these cobblestone roads, and they're about to get sort of washed away by the cleanup crews, which come in the early morning and just get everything. I mean, they cleaned all the plastic cups and everything else
Mhm.
like that. But it's very romantic. Some of them sleep on benches. Some of them sleep on the grass.
Now, are they
Young
sleeping or are
kids
they
don't have any
passed
money,
out?
okay? But they're
Right.
having an adventure of their, one of the great adventures of their life, I would say.
We as a society have been wrapped in bubble wrap. And there's so many safety features now on everything, which, in a lot of situations they're needed, but there isn't anything anymore that's an adventure. We don't go on safari. We don't go run with the bulls.
Well, you,
We
you
don't
don't
go
want to
do
tell
things
that
like
to
to your
my
cousins. No.
my cousins, yeah, especially
Actually,
Patrick Hemingway
actually,
Adams, man.
I'm
He's
giving
going there
serious
every
thought
year,
to
it
what
seems like.
hunting with him next year. The little guy in the back of my head is saying Pamplona or hunting with Patrick in South Africa. I think it was South Africa. They were going to do something.
Well,
I
that
meant to
would
go last year around my birthday. He was doing something with his crew with Field Ethos magazine. Like, oh, this
mhm.
would be great, just right around my birthday and all this other ones. It wasn't in the cards for me. This year or next year, one or the other, I am going to go. And I'm bringing a really good camera with me in addition to let's just simply say something that in the event I need to defend myself, I can. It's a safari after all. I'm going to go ahead and embrace the whole Hemingway thing.
Well, you seem to have embraced it in many ways already. So
I try hard.
I think the running of the bulls is something that really you need to see if you want to. You have to understand it because once you understand it, then you understand everything more or less that Ernest believed in.
Mm-hmm.
He understood the feelings of almost dying, especially from the First World War, and when he was 19 years old. And if
17.
it hadn't
Well,
been
he
for that
wasn't old enough
Italian
to fight.
soldier in front of him, I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
be here today.
Right.
He took the blast, and even so, Ernest had about 100 pieces of shrapnel in both his legs,
Mm-hmm.
and even afterwards, okay, my great uncle Les, Ernest's younger brother, says that he was once on the Pilar with his brother there, and he just, for the first time, really saw the number of scars on his legs, and he realized, oh my God, that is from all the shrapnel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
A couple of inches in
yeah,
either
that
direction, you wouldn't
he
be here.
really, really, really got that close,
Yeah.
like so many other things. However, he never ran with the bulls. And I think that's also because he had experienced that. Now, I've
Mm-hmm.
seen a lot of veterans who've been to Iraq or Afghanistan and who were very much into the work of my grandfather. But these men who have had to deal with IEDs, and they're afraid of what's out there. And
Yeah.
I'm almost always amazed at this fear for, from these people. And I think probably it has something to do perhaps with post-traumatic stress disorder, because they know what, being close to death is. And when people describe to them what they're risking, they still do it, but it scares them,
Yeah.
Whereas someone like myself in the beginning, I just did it as a kind of a lark, on a lark sort of thing, like, all right, let's try this out and everything. And it was great. The first year I actually went there and ran every morning, I was invincible. Okay. But
And then you got
later
older.
on, a good friend of mine, Bill Hillman, was gored. And from that point onward, I would always say to myself, in Italian, "Chi me lo fa fare?" What the hell am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
I have a family. Again, I'm, and I certainly, when I started doing that, I was still in my 50s, but just the same, it's, you suddenly understand that shit can happen anywhere on that 900-meter course,
Right.
because these bulls, they run it usually within 2 seconds. Okay. No, not 2 seconds, 2 minutes, I think it is. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, 900 meters, but and it's all cobblestone, and there's
Yeah.
turns and twists and
That,
all
that,
kinds of
that
things
that's
that
in a
you got to put
normal
yourself
race.
on
Of course, if
without the
someone
bulls.
gets hurt, then it lengthens itself. Or maybe the bull is separated from the herd and he becomes what they call a suelto, a lone bull. And so he's trying to stake out his territory. And anything that moves in that territory of his, he will try to kill.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
their instinct.
Yeah. Because if they're all alone. If they're in the herd, they know their safety in the herd.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you mentioned your friend Bill, who got
Bill
gored.
Hillman. Yeah.
Now
He's
we I think he's the one that we've discussed possibly bringing on the podcast.
sure. I think it would be great to have him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have that
He
conversation
has
with him. But
lots and lots of experience. He's run, I don't know how many times, over 200 at least or something.
as we get closer, I'd love to do that. Um,
He wrote a book about it, about a summer where he just ran from Encierro to Encierro to Encierro, because Pamplona isn't the only town that does this. There are many, many towns throughout Spain which have their own Encierro, and they're very different one from the other. I mean, there's one where I think it's on a hill, okay,
mhm.
and people and the bulls fall off this road a lot, and then
So
there's
they
another
run
one.
downhill
Yeah.
with 1,500-pound animals that are not real
Mhm.
happy chasing them.
There's another one where they have the 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 herders of the bulls, but they're riding on horses with long poles. Okay, because the bulls respect the horses, and vice versa, and they're much more mobile. But the people are running on the ground, and it's beautiful. It's out there, and I've seen pictures of it. Where they've got a bit of fog sometimes too. It's very romantic. And a lot of people get hurt in that one too. So I've heard. It's a bit
You just called it
north
romantic,
of
though.
Madrid. Yeah. Bill would know all of these things. He's run all of these places. Yeah.
We'll have to bring him on. So I
Ditto.
was,
Our friend Dennis is going to be with us in March. He'll be talking about this because he was
okay.
the one who made that award-winning video "Chasing Red" and won first place in the Los Angeles Film Festival.
Okay.
So, okay, what else do you want
So
to
your
know about
characters.
this book?
Well, I mean, your characters that were in there, you got Frank, who, gee, he's a writer from California. That sounds vaguely familiar. And then, of
Yeah, that
course,
one.
there's,
Frank is largely um, my alter ego in the book,
okay.
and Hector would be based on our friend there from Chicago. Chicago, yes,
Okay.
and then there's Clive, who is a British character, and in the book he's an ex-RAF pilot. In reality, Alexander, or Xander as everyone calls him,
Okay.
works in finance.
Okay.
Yes.
Liven things up. And then Irina bears a striking resemblance to the young lady
Oh
in
yeah,
the
I mean,
picture behind
she
you.
was Christina inspired me in every sense. I mean, that day when I saw her, she was, I think, 25, and I was maybe, 54 or something like that? Something. And I was just saying to myself, jailbait, John, jailbait. Don't you even think about it.
Kinds of issues here. Don't do this. Don't do this. And you did it anyways.
Yeah.
So your
But we just
book
had a
winds
short
up being a
talk.
love
I was
story.
so stunned by her looks and everything that I couldn't even remember most of the conversation. And she reminded me, yes, there was this. And you asked me these questions. I could not remember anything. Talk about
Says a lot.
knockouts.
Says a lot about her. The fact that, you just
She
got
loves the
lost.
Fiesta, absolutely adores it. She loves seeing, well, the Encierro she doesn't see too much of because she hardly ever gets up in time. She very much enjoys the corrida in the afternoon with her favorite peña, Irinzi, and she usually sits with them. And all of them are in the hot part of the arena. Totally sol, not sole sombra, not sombra. In the sombra area, you've got the people who pay a lot more for their tickets, okay, who are not throwing bottles of, not bottles, okay, but most of them in the sun place, okay, are throwing drinks from plastic cups, things like
Right.
that, and or flour, and then the peña bands. Okay, there are bands which play with each peña, and many times, they're playing different songs at the same time. It is absolutely crazy. You will not find this in any other bull ring in Spain or in the world, for that matter. It's great.
So you've got multiple songs going on from different sides. You've got people throwing things into the ring, and then obviously you have the bullfight going on. I mean,
I don't think maybe that was as. Oh, and also the peñas are very political. They
Okay.
have these banners that they make for the fiesta, where they make fun of various politicians that they don't like. Okay, and they have a procession before the beginning of the bullfight itself, where everyone in the peña is there and they're happy and they're joking and they're drinking. Oh, and they bring in tons of drinks. Like, you're not supposed to, but because they're, a peña, no one ever stops them. They don't.
Okay. Is it? I mean, now my first real exposure, if you will, to bullfighting, I really want to say it was Bugs Bunny. It was
Bugs
a
Bunny.
Warner. It was a Warner's. I want to say it was a Warner Brothers cartoon where he was a matador,
Hmm.
and that was kind of one of those things where it not so much sparked my interest, but it at least let me know that this existed. And
Really? That was how you found out about
yeah, that was
bullfighting?
how I found out about it. I mean, as a kid, and
Oh, as a kid,
somewhere
yeah.
along the line, yeah, that was 5, 7. Some things
Hmm.
that my parents didn't exactly want to let me know. And then as I grew up, I mean, there were parts of some of Hemingway's stories, your grandfather's stories, that managed to wander in to the literature that I was reading in high school. But I really didn't get exposed to it until after high school. It wasn't even college. It was, my first real experience with anything Hemingway was at Paris Island basic training. One of the guys in the platoon had a book of the short stories. I don't remember which version of all of the short stories, which compilation it was, but that's where I really started reading about it. And I did a little bit of, I mean, for what I could do before we had the internet, I did a little bit of searching on it. It seemed to be a fascinating way to make a living right up until you couldn't, either because you made a
Well,
big mistake or you just aged out.
not too many bullfighters die these days. One, because of the discovery of antibiotics.
Hmm.
Two, because of the improvements in surgery. So even if you are gored, they know how to deal with it. And there was one matador who was a great favor at the the Fiesta de San Fermin. Um, what was his name again? He actually was gored, I think, in his this area right here, and it actually poked out one of his eyes or something like that. You know,
This is why
and
we said it wasn't family
and he
friendly.
afterwards continued bullfighting. Okay, with one eye. You know,
That day or later after you got fixed up?
no. Later
Okay.
on. Yeah.
I mean, that day would be impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even still, coming back to do it later. I mean, that's says a lot about who he is.
Xander, one of the people who um, inspired me in one of the characters, Clive.
Hmm.
In real life, he's a good friend of this matador and has actually trained with him. Um, Xander, Clive, in real life, um, used to live, I think, for the most part in Sevilla. I'm not sure if he lives there all the time. Recently, I saw a posting of his on Facebook where he was in the ring with a Miura bull. And these things are huge.
Yeah,
They weigh
that's right.
about 700 kilos, about 1,400 pounds or something like that. And I don't think he was fighting it, but it was just like the bull had actually been in the ring and was saved, spared by the president of the jury.
Okay.
And it then became what they call a toro semental, okay, breeding, basically, and he would spend the rest of his life doing fuck all, literally.
Doing breeding bull things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I grew up around horses. We had horses as I was growing up. My family still has them, that kind of thing. So, being around an animal that weighs 15, 18, 200, 2,000 pounds, I mean, horses for the most part are a lot more docile.
Well, this is the other thing.
There's a reason we ride horses and
Mhm.
not bulls,
Have you
at
have
least for longer
you?
than 8 seconds.
I don't think you've seen what's called rejoneo, which is when the bullfighters
Hmm.
are actually fighting on bulls riding horses. Now the horses are uh, pure Italian, not Spanish. Spanish. What do they call them? They're the ones that are trained to turn on a dime. They can do all sorts of sort of tricks and things like this.
Okay.
A friend of mine actually has an estancia north of Madrid where he raises these horses, and they are something to behold. absolutely beautiful. Yeah.
You say they turn on a dime.
Puro sangue español or something like that. I'm not sure. They're the kind, if you think of the, what do they do? Um, they don't do so much jumping, but they do all kinds of sort of, difficult maneuvers in the ring.
Okay. My sister
It's
was a.
absolutely gorgeous to see. When you see someone who really knows what he's doing on a horse like that, it is an art form.
Oh yeah.
I mean, corrida is considered an art form, and in the newspapers, they don't have it in the sports section. It's under culture, yeah,
Okay.
along with say philharmonic orchestras, ballet. You also have corrida because their objective, more than anything else, is to create art in this ephemeral meeting between the bullfighter and the bull. And they only have a couple of minutes to do it within 15 minutes, I believe. And if they get over that, if they go over that limit, okay, they're penalized and they have to, um, I'm not sure exactly all of the rules there, but they have a certain time limit in which they have to kill the bull. And if they can't do it, the next matador in line, because there are always three in every sort of bullfight, will take care of that.
That come along with.
Yeah, because these are professionals, and that is part of their professional series of rules that they have and regulations. And anyway,
so they've got to take on. So it's 3 sets of matadors, and basically you've got the first one, and if he can't do it, then the second one takes over, and in theory, the second one after.
Well, yeah, I mean, if for instance one of the matadors is injured, the next one, or if it isn't the lead matador is in charge of killing the bull. He has to by law.
Yeah. Well, at some stage of the game, the bull has been injured enough to where that's the only course of action to take, anyways. But yeah, that makes sense that there'd be more than one. I mean, what happens? Yeah, what happens if that happens? There's you were talking about different places around the world that had a running of the bulls, and mostly
running of the bulls. I think in Sierra, for what I have heard, you'll find only in Spain the way it's practiced here, there rather. I'm not so sure they have that in South America. I mean, I don't see them having a running of the bulls in Madrid, for instance, where they have the largest bull ring on the planet, basically.
Right.
It's just not something. There are, however, stranger things going on in other parts of South America. For instance, I believe Colombia. And I've heard that they introduce many bulls and people can get gored and then they come back. And I was talking to this photographer once who has compiled a lot of very interesting sort of photographs about these very strange traditions that they have in parts of South America. Very, very strange. Yeah.
There's another tradition that I've heard of when it comes to running of the bulls. Hang on a second here. I actually have a picture of it. Those of you who are watching on YouTube and wherever else we've got this where it's up on video. There's this other place that has a running of the bulls that happens every year in July, around the time of the Fiesta de San Fermin. I don't know if it's popped up on John's screen yet or not. Look at his face. It hasn't.
Oh, as if. That is so lame. Well, the real danger there is not so much.
Well, there is a little bit of danger, but it's more of a heat stroke than anything else.
It's the heat stroke, yeah, because a lot of these guys are drinking. You can see that they're not exactly athletes. Some of them are getting into their 80s, and I'm surprised that no one has died.
For those of you who are wondering what the heck this is, I have brought up a picture from a couple years ago. I think this is me right here. I'm either right in here or over in here in this shot. But anyways, this is the running of the bulls, or our
I'm
version
looking
of
over
it.
there, but I can't see you there. Are you here?
There's a lot of guys in front of me. This is the running of the bulls at Key West at Sloppy Joe's Bar.
In the real running of the bulls, no one wears these sashes. You know why?
No, because
the bull can clip you with his horn there like that, and then he'll be dragging you along. Okay, and also they don't wear panuelos. Okay, because if you wear a panuelo, it's another thing, and I've seen this happen. There was this one Japanese guy who had been caught by a bull's horn, and the bull was dragging him along, and he had to sort of hang on to the horn so that he wouldn't break his neck. Eventually, he got free, but so for that reason, I don't wear sashes. I don't wear the scarf. Okay, certainly not,
right.
not on my neck.
That can be snagged.
I keep it in the pants pocket or something like that. Because
we do that more as an homage to everybody that's running in the moment. But this is actually how John and I met. We met at a writers' conference, but the Festival de San Fermin runs just before Hemingway Days down in Key West, and this is a shot of the Ernest Hemingway Lookalike Society as we did the running of the bulls in Key West. This would be should be Green Street here, and then Duval is back here. For those
there's Sloppy Joe's. You can see that. So
yeah, Sloppy Joe's here on the corner, and then this would be the bar out back, Joe's Tap Room. So yeah, but for those of you that are curious, we said the whole reason we all get together every year, in addition to just basically being a group of guys having a lot of fun, we raise money for a bunch of scholarship programs, one of which is for first responders, another one for people who are going into literature and, planning on becoming writers and things of that nature. Obviously, it's Ernest Hemingway. And then we also do a lot of scholarships for nurses. So things like that.
Things just like that.
Things just like that, yeah. Stuff like that. And other things of general do-goodery that we don't really talk about too much. We're always
the
there.
The do-goodery of it all.
The do-goodery stuff, yes. So when you're going this year to San Fermin.
Yeah.
And then hopefully you will have your other book from the other series that you are writing, The Murder on the Florida Straits. The sequel should be done for Hemingway Days, which is going to be after the Festival de San Fermin in Key West. The actual Hemingway Days are the 17th through the 21st of July. And in the event that you have not been to Key West at that time of year, I know John has, but those of you out there watching and listening, it's
like a sauna.
Yes, it's like a sauna. It is very, very warm. So if you happen to be, say, hey, let's go down and, hang out during Hemingway Days.
Bring your parka. Yeah.
Don't bring your sweaters like about 200 of us do. You don't want to wear that. It is very, very hot. But John will be there signing his latest book, as well as some of his others. He has 3 currently. He'll have 4 by then. He'll be at the Hemingway Rum Company, which is not all that far away from where that picture was.
Yeah, they have a very nice social area.
Yes. In the social
which used to be a place where they sort of stocked their product, but they decided to make it into something more useful, in the sense that they have a lot of people who go there, musical groups, other poets go there, do readings, things like that. And a lot of they have a mural there, which was done by a Caribbean artist who's into fishing, and it is absolutely breathtaking.
Oh, the Guy Harvey?
Guy Harvey, yeah.
Yeah.
And they also have their statue of Ernest, which I've seen better.
It was actually modeled.
The one that is in Pamplona, okay? That one is very good. Okay, it is exactly how tall he was and looks like. I've seen many of these statues which are basically a waste of iron or whatever they're using, or what is it now? Something.
There was there's one up in, actually, there's a couple of them up in Michigan.
Oh, the ones up there in Michigan are a farce.
They definitely tried hard.
Especially one in particular right there in the town center. The guy has actually nothing that reminds me of any Hemingway I've ever seen in my family. I mean, he's got one of these faces that are sort of squashed. Well, where like in passport photos, where they take away sort of a lot of things of a person's sort of look to make it more official looking or something. I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, this is a creative license on the sculpture, I guess.
I am actually pulling up that image right now. Make sure I get the right one here.
Pull it up, guy.
Yeah, I'm getting there. The other one I had to expand. See, these things are unscripted. It's a conversation. It's a parlay.
Mm-hmm. It is, yes.
So
unscripted.
Half the time I'm paddling.
He's fishing around for pictures that can be shown to a mature audience.
Share screen. Should be.
And so while he's doing that, bronze. Yes, all of these things are in bronze. Yes, of course. Yes.
This one, and I mean, I definitely appreciate the effort that was involved here. I mean, if you look, we have a book. We have.
Okay, that was
famous for
relatively good. Okay.
Yeah.
Although he's got a deep sea fishing rod, no one goes deep sea fishing around there. Everyone goes fly fishing. So,
and that was one of the lakes back here. This is
it's freshwater.
This is Walloon Lake.
And so if you really want to talk about Ernest Hemingway in Michigan, you're thinking of freshwater.
Okay? It would have been
the Great Lakes and everything else. This guy, on the other hand, has a deep sea fishing rod, which would be used in the Caribbean, in the Gulf Stream.
And the cat does have 6 toes.
Right off of Bimini, maybe, or Key West. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. The cat does have 6 toes. I checked.
Do you have the other one? No, you didn't take a picture of that one. That one is
the one
really,
from
really...
downtown?
Yeah.
Downtown Petoskey?
Yes.
Is that where I was? Okay.
It's of this kid.
In the back of my head's going, wait a minute.
He's super skinny. Okay, Ernest, there was a period of his life when he was super skinny. Yes. But the face is all wrong.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Probably this one.
Trying to find the right Hemingway could be the title of this podcast. In bronze, that is.
All right, hang on a second here. I got to stop sharing. And then reshare.
You really have found this? Nope, that's you. You don't look like him.
That one.
That one what? Oh, yeah, there he is.
Okay.
Absolutely retarded. Okay.
Well, he spent his youth up there.
His youth. It's true, but it doesn't look like it. If you look at the face, absolutely wrong. Because even when he was, 17, 18, 19, he had that big face, Mm-hmm. He got that, I think, principally from his mother.
Every picture I've seen of him at that age,
Grace really gave a lot of her DNA to this man. Also the creative side. What he got from his father was his father's proclivity. Well, no. Tendency towards mental illness, depression, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
From what I
understand,
his
mom who gave him the creative genius. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mom
and then also there was the tension, his father killing himself and all the rest of that stuff.
That, yeah.
Yeah.
But mom was very. I seem to remember something from one of a story about them that. She would constantly remind him that she could have been an opera star, or she could have been very, very famous. But she
I could have been a contender, that sort of
exactly.
thing.
But it was
You're gonna be
something
a
along those
contender.
lines. I mean, that's growing up as a kid. I mean, that couldn't have been very.
Well, I think she
You
was
know.
proud of him in the sense of his
Mhm.
success as a writer later on, also because he was supporting her
Oh yeah,
financially.
yeah. Towards
He was
the end,
supporting a lot of people, actually.
yeah. And his name lives on, his literature lives on, uh, and I mean, they're actually going to be redoing one of his movies or one of his books as a movie once again.
Which one's this?
I was hoping you knew because the little guy in the back of my head is saying, gee, wait a minute. Is it to have and have not? Wait a minute. Little things you should know before you start talking on a podcast. I know.
The Sun, no, not Sun Also Rises. The one which had Gary Cooper in it and also Rock Hudson. I think they're doing another one of those.
I mean, they did.
That
Of course, when I
one.
put down Hemingway movie, Your Cousin Mariel pops up.
No, it
Netflix.
is. Dun, dun.
Are they redoing For Whom the Bell? Yes, For Whom the Bell Tolls. That's right.
No. For Whom the Bell Tolls, they're redoing? No, I don't
Netflix.
think so.
Mm-hmm.
It's
From an article.
I know, yeah, they have a British actor who's doing it. Okay. They've actually signed the contract and all the rest of it. And the studio is fronting them all of the money for the film. So
See further proof, folks, that this is actually a live.
this is a live recording.
Farewell to Arms. Thank you.
Farewell to Arms, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it didn't quite sound right. Tom Blythe or Blythe
Yes.
from Hunger Games is going to be in it, and
I think
signed
they're going to start filming this year.
as of this. Let's see here. It's going to be written and directed by Michael Winterbottom.
Yep, that's him.
And let's see here.
I don't know who the lead is going to be in.
It's going to be. He's one of the actors from the Hunger Games series.
Oh, really?
Tom Blythe or Blythe? I don't know. I would assume it's Blythe.
What about the woman, though?
I don't see anything on her.
The one who dies while having a baby. Oh my God! I just spoiled it for all those people who waited all these years to read it.
What I wonder is how they're going to do that. Are they going to, because
they're going to actually kill her. Look, this is an age of depopulation, so get rid of an actress or an actor.
No, what I'm wondering, somehow I don't think it's going to be a snuff film. What I'm wondering is it going to be a modern day version, or are they actually going to go back to World War One?
No. All they need to do is just go to Ukraine, okay, and it'll look just like the landscape of World War One. I've seen pictures
Unfortunately, it would, yes,
of what it looked like on the border between Italy and Slovenia, or Croatia rather, and it was horrible. I mean, everything was black. All the trees were gone. There were carcasses of animals that were floating down the river. And I remember I went there. It was exactly 100 years after the war. And the water was absolutely pristine. I went fly fishing for what was the kind of trout I think they had there was sort of a marbled trout. And it was the first one I'd ever caught. And so I was so happy. It was like an offering of the gods to me, of the Ernest Hemingway gods. Okay. Because I looked up there and I thought, my God, 100 years in the past, that place would have been a battlefield and there would have been artillery firing down on people on the other side of the river.
Right. Yeah, I've toured a few battlefields here in the United States, the old Civil War battles. A couple of them are from the Revolutionary War. And there's just something as you go walking through, there's this feeling that you just can't shake. as you know, it's like you walk into a spot and it's like, okay, somebody died here. You just have this weird, creepy feeling, and you take another couple of steps and you realize that you sunk down a couple of inches and then back up, and it's like that might have been where an artillery shell landed. And, that kind of thing as you're walking through. It's got a real weird vibe to it, and especially when it's been cleaned up and doesn't
Chris,
look like a battlefield.
Speak up. No one in the audience can hear you. It's true. It's like you're whispering.
Did I hit mute? Check. So I'm sitting here going through this whole thing, and it just lost everything. I apologize, folks.
There we go. Okay.
I don't know what. I might have bumped something on the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can repeat all of that, but to be perfectly honest with you, it wasn't prescient to the book.
The book is different. The book is Spain, not Italy. Anyway, we're spending too much time talking about Italy.
It's a conversation, hence Hemingway's parlay. So if somebody wanted to come down to Key West to get their hands on a signed copy, they can obviously do that, but it's also available for a lot less than the airfare to Key West on Amazon. And it is spelled Bacch. It is the Italian word. John spent 23 years there. He's allowed to use an Italian word now and then. But that is the spelling that you were looking for.
Mm.
And I liked it. It was actually the first one of John's books that I read. And there's a couple of spots in there where I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And then it all wraps around and wraps into one big story. I really liked it. So, John, do you have anything about any ideas for possibly a sequel to this one too? After you're done with your sequel to Strange Two,
it's one thing that I would do a sequel to a noir because most people expect that. But to be honest, I would be more interested in doing standalone novels.
Okay. Would you consider another one about the Festival de San Fermin?
No. I think I've given everything I have to give about that fiesta there. I really dived into it deeply.
You did.
All the impressions that I have, and people that I knew, and I sympathize with people who need to do that to keep making sequel. But that's not really why I'm doing this. I'm also doing it to entertain myself. And when I don't know what's going to happen, it's much more interesting.
Makes sense. And let's be honest. I mean, it's fun to let the story develop. And, on occasion you buy a new set of treats for Hugo.
About Hugo? Hugo's a writer?
I apologize for the technical difficulties here. Yeah, I mean, eventually you wind up, the whole reason you're doing your books is so that Hugo can have a new couple of treats now and then when you take him for a walk in the morning.
Treats. Oh, treats for Hugo, yeah.
Honestly, folks, we're trying hard. So,
you never know how it's going to be here at Riverside, One day is this, one day it's that,
I know I'm talking. You can't hear me. I don't understand this.
No, I can understand you now. So long as you speak up and into the microphone.
That's just it. I don't understand. Because we're obviously still in the beginning stages of this podcast thing.
No. Well, we don't have someone who's a sound man, behind a sort of a glass booth, where he's checking on sound levels and moving this thing up and moving
flipping
that thing
switches.
back, I've done that before. Well, I mean, I haven't been there, but I was helping someone with, this was in Italy, and he wanted to become a singer, but he wanted to do everything in English. And so I gave him lessons on accents and how to say a word or something like that. And he actually paid me to go out to the studio. In the end, he did make his way as an Italian singer. And I'm glad that he did, because he sounds a lot better in Italian than he does in English.
So, well, sir, it has been a joy, as always.
Mm-hmm.
I was, well, I am looking forward to seeing you once again down in July.
I would just remind everyone that when this goes up on YouTube, to also subscribe, which helps us.
Yes.
And you can, I tried doing this today on YouTube, but they wouldn't allow me because I hadn't been on it for that long, or my ID was not what they wanted. These people, bureaucrats. Anyway,
Hoops he had not jumped through.
you can get this book, okay, and the one that we had on just yesterday, Murder in the Florida Straits, both of them from Amazon.com. And just look for John Hemingway and you'll find them.
And there's, there's 3 of them that are up there. Strange Tribe is the other one.
Strange Tribe has been out for quite some time, and a lot of people know about that. That was actually published by a quote unquote real publisher, not Amazon, you know. And yeah, that was Lions. And they did a good job of it.
Well, eventually. It's got to go one of 2 ways. Eventually, everybody's going to wind up being on Amazon, or everybody's going to wind up being with one of the big publishing houses, jumping through hoops again.
True.
I don't.
So what was it? Our next jump into podcast land is with a friend of yours, I believe.
With a gentleman by the name of Brad. Brad. He is a part of the the Upper Peninsula.
Is he like the Brad on you know that?
No, he is a part of the Upper Peninsula Paranormal Society. He's been on a couple of TV shows.
Ooh, so we're going to interview someone who actually chases after ghosts.
Somebody who chases ghosts.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
I'm sure he's got a couple of stories that we can sit back and just, get a little scared with. I almost didn't want to do it now. I almost wanted to wait until sometime in October. We may wind up
close to Halloween.
Back up there. Yeah, close to Halloween again. But Brad's a neat guy. He's got a whole bunch of stuff published, and he's got a whole bunch of stories about hunting ghosts. So
Brad, was he in next week? The what was it? The Rocky something or other picture show? Brad. No. That was Brad. Remember? Brad was the normal guy who really turns into a transvestite or something like that.
Well, that was
Rocky Horror Picture Show. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And people would go there with their candles and everything, and then they'd sing and all. And the midnight showings, that kind of Brad.
We had one as I was growing up that, it was, they were throwing birdseed. There were people on a stage in front of it, mimicking everything as it was happening. It was one of the, you paid $5 to walk in through the door. It was $1 movie night for like a 3rd run movie every other night of the week, but it was $5 or $10 to go in.
And it was always the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
It was always a Rocky Horror Picture Show. It was a Friday night or Saturday night. I don't remember which one it was. But
that gives it authenticity.
Then you ran around. Yeah, you would run around and you would clean up. That was a part of the deal. Mm-hmm. Stuff got thrown, everything. It was a part of it. And then you cleaned up afterwards. At least you're supposed to.
That sounds good.
Brad Blair should be on next week.
Yep.
He is one of the many supernatural haunters. They call themselves the supernatural haunts. So,
all right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been real.
It has. Have fun.
Yeah.
I will see you
party's over
next week.
Yeah. Okay. Ciao.
Take care.